January 25th of 1967, Dr. Martin Luther King sat down on one afternoon and wrote one of the most incredible recommendations for the Nobel Peace Prize ever to be written. Adding to what he wrote, I hope to in some small way commemorate the life and the work of the monk named Thich Nhat Hanh. I will start with the beginning of his recommendation when he said, "As the Nobel Peace Prize laureate of 1964, I now have the pleasure of proposing to you the name of Thich Nhat Hanh for the award in 1967. I do not personally know of any more worthy or noble candidate for the Nobel Peace Prize than this Grand Buddhist monk from Vietnam. I honestly think that when we talk about the Nobel Peace Prize and anything that is devoted to the cause of peace, then figures such as the Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh has to come to the forefront as our mind. He is a leader of the peace and nonviolent movement in the East. He has inspired people all around the world to take down arms, end weaponing, end militarization, and choose a more peaceful way of life. Even when he has been exiled tragically from his country in Vietnam, he has been separated from his family, and he lives amongst a nation of people who are oppressed by starvation and even rampant open warfare. And so I would like to share with you just a couple things about the figure, the unsung hero of Thich Nhat Hanh, the monk, the teacher, the inspirational leader of the Plum Monastery, so that we can understand how his work changed not only Martin Luther King Jr.'s life, but also our own. As King explains in his letter of recommendation about Hahn's qualifications for this commemoration of the Nobel Peace Prize, he aptly states that Hanh is a holy man, for he is humble and devout. He is a scholar of immense intellectual capacity, the author of 10 published volumes. He is also a poet of superb clarity and human compassion. His academic discipline is the philosophy of religion, of which he is the professor at Van Han, the Buddhist university, and he helped found in Saigon. He directs the Institute for Social Studies at the university, and this also amazing figure also finds the time to regularly edit and contribute to the Thin Mai, an incredible regular weekly publication in the country of Vietnam. More importantly and more recently, he has also become the director of the Youth for Social Service, an incredibly growing, powerful, and active group of young Vietnamese children, young adults, and college-age individuals who have decided that amongst the warfare, amongst the terrible plagues, amongst poverty, they're going to do something to rebuild, regrow, and re-strengthen their country and also the world for the movement of peace. What makes Hanh a particularly memorable figure, I believe, is that he reminds all men in his quote that wherever good men will stand ready to lead the warning against the elements out of the abyss of hatred and the destruction, he reawakens us to the teachings of love and peace. He guides us and shows us how we can practice peace in our everyday lives. In his most popular novel about the relationship between his own religion of Buddhism and Western Christianity, he says that if peace is not something that we can achieve, it's not something we can work toward or we can create, but rather peace is something that we are. It's someone we become. And when more of us will choose to be peaceful, then that's the only way there will be less violence in the world. And I truly think that those teachings can help revive hope in the world for a more just and peaceful society. Han's service has been desperately needed in the country in which he was born. He honestly, I believe his purpose in life was specifically for the country of Vietnam, a war-torn, impoverished country. Their history has been filled with chapters of exploitation, outside powers, corruption, non-stop warfare, and the Vietnamese have been harshly ruled, ill-fed, poorly housed, and burdened by the hardship and terrors of modern warfare. That's why, most importantly, Thich Nhat Hanh offers a way out of this terrible nightmare, out of this tragedy of warfare. And he shows not only his people, but us, that there is a solution filled with peaceful compassion and goodness for all people. That by simply changing how we live, changing how we think in our lives, we can change our world. And I believe that's something that really is catching on with this new generation that is rising up in the world. And so as someone who has traveled the world, who has counseled statesmen, politicians, religious leaders, scholars, and writers, he has enlisted their support, he has challenged their beliefs, and he has inspired them to really champion the cause of peace. In closing, in his letter, Martin Luther King writes this about Hahn's philosophy. He says, his ideas for peace, if truly applied, would build a monument to ecumenism, the world brotherhood, and to a peaceful humanity. And that's something that at this point in history we truly need. When we talk about figures who are important, people who are worth commemorating, I would say that there is nothing more worth commemorating than the cause of peace. Without peace, we don't have life, we don't have stability, our societies can't flourish. And so there is something for us to learn about this Vietnamese monk, this humble person who stands for peace. And that truly as Christians, if we really follow the Prince of Peace, then world peace here on earth must be something that becomes important in our daily lives.